made it. We're alive. I'm dirty and wet and I'm freezing. But oh my gosh, what an amazing adventure we had. We traveled 1,850 miles with the Mormon battalion. Wait, maybe I should start at the beginning. My name is Anna Hunsaker, and I'm the 12-year-old daughter of Abraham and Eliza Hunsaker. And in answer to our prophet's call for assistance to move further west with religious persecution, we were then asked to send 500 volunteers to serve in an army to fight against the Mexicans in the Mexican War. Well, our prophet Brigham Young thought that that was a great idea. It would show our loyalty to God and to our country, and that we were true patriots. So it was only supposed to be men, but then we found out that laundresses were allowed to go. I pretended I was 16. I looked old for my age. So I went and said a farewell to my mother. Almost 400 wagons had crossed the frozen Mississippi, and our battalion, 350 men, another 150. The first 350 built an entire town in 3 days. With one whack of an axe, they felled an entire tree. They built 40 log homes, bridges, dug wells. The other 150 people plowed the fields, planted seed, and this was all for saints who would come later, who would need refuge and food to eat. 30 miles to the west, I watched these men who never slept and never ate and never tired do the same thing, only this time they were fighting huge giant rattlesnakes with faces as big as grizzly bears. Whack to the right, whack to the left, knocking them down, chopping their heads off. Little did they know the irony of that is we had food for the trip. So we began our 1,850-mile trek. Many were sick, but we were promised that none would perish by bloodshed. Over a year and a half, it took us to get from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, to the coast of San Diego, to an old abandoned mission, and I couldn't believe we'd made it. We had to stay there 5 more months before we were mustered out, and then the true general's intentions were made known. He wanted to keep us all there and not pay us our dues and our rations. But my father, my papa, Abraham, he stood up to him and said, "You'll pay us what we're due, and we're off to get our families in Salt Lake." So we got our dues and we traveled the hundreds of miles to Salt Lake only to find a letter from my mama and my siblings that they had not traveled the trail and were still clear back in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Another 1,000 miles that we had to trek. So many stories, I can't tell them all. It would take me a year, maybe 2 years. But this one story I have to tell. At the end of our trek, we're a couple of weeks from getting to our family. We came upon another brigade that was maybe 30 people, and they were surrounded by 30, maybe 300 Pawnee Indians getting ready to kill them. And we must have looked so emaciated and bedraggled that they thought the living dead was chasing them. So they just got on their horses and whisked away and turned into sand, into the dust. And so we banded together and we followed the frozen river for about 5 miles until we could cross it. We were so hungry, we were left to eating just the rawhide from the very bags that we carried our provisions in. My father decided he was going to go get corn from that Indian cornfield. So he took his hot skillet full of coals and he walked across the ice and all of a sudden broke through the ice. And then I just, without thinking, I ran across the ice after him and I fell in as well. And next thing I know, I started rising into the air. My petticoats were blowing up and like a balloon, and I was rising up to the air. Next thing I know, my feet, I looked over and I had the coat of my papa in my hand, and he was on top of a turtle. And it carried us to the shore, and we found an old trunk tree, and we warmed ourselves, and we grabbed as much corn as we possibly could, and we cooked it. But wait, where's our coals? They were full of water. We poured the water out, and out of nowhere came hundreds, no thousands, no 10,000s of fireflies flapping their wings in our pan to where the coals were glowing, and we parched our corn and wrapped it in my skirt. And then we went back to the bank of the river, and as soon as we got there, there was a bridge made of turtles going clear across the river, and we just ran back over and fed the rest of our family and made it back to our families all in one piece.